If you've been using Amazon's suggested bid when you set up your Amazon PPC campaigns, you're making a big mistake. There's a much better and more effective way to set your bid when you're setting up campaigns with your Amazon PPC ads, and in this video, I'm going to show you exactly how to do it. Setting and adjusting your bid is arguably the most important input that you can have to affect the performance of your Amazon PPC ads campaigns. So say I'm in my ad console, I click sponsored products, and I'm setting up a campaign, and I want to do manual targeting a particular keyword. The first thing that's going to happen once I select manual targeting and keyword targeting is I'm going to get down to this section, and Amazon is going to make me decide on a bid. So if, for instance, I wanted to target this keyword, electrolyte powder. So Amazon has what it calls a suggested bid. Now this bid, as you can see, there's actually a really huge range that Amazon gives us of potential appropriate bids. It says $3.29 to $7.99, and it suggests a bid of $6.21. Now, in my experience, this suggested bid has very loose relationship with the actual bid that makes the most sense for that particular keyword. So if I'm not going to use Amazon's suggested bid, what will I input in this bid section here to use as my starting bid? Well, as you can see, when I highlight this box, Amazon actually gives me this default bid. That is not the same as the suggested bid. That's literally just random. It's not associated with the competitiveness of the category whatsoever. But the suggested bid, although it is correlated with the competitiveness of the category, it's not usually the right bid to use. But there is a formula that allows you to very easily calculate what bid to start with. So here's the formula. It's very simple. Your starting bid is your target ACoS times the price of the product times your conversion rate. And I'll walk through a few examples so that this actually makes sense to you. So first of all, what are these terms? So starting bid, we know what that is. Target ACoS, that is your average cost of sale. So if I wanted to sell my $100 product with $30 of ad spend, my target ACoS is 30%. The product price is what you're selling your product for, the retail price that the shopper actually pays for your product. And your conversion rate is what we would call your unit session percentage that you can find inside business reports in your Seller Central dashboard. So all of this data you have access to, because this one you choose what your target ACoS is. Your product price is your product price, and the conversion rate of your item, you have it inside Seller Central, inside business reports. So it's really easy to get. It's just unit session percentage. So let's walk through a couple examples. Okay, let's go through an example here. So say my target ACoS is 100%. That means I'm willing to spend on average 100% of my product sale value in ad spend. So if I'm selling a $40 product, I'm willing to spend $40 in order to sell that product. So how do I set my bid? Well, it's very simple. I'm willing to spend 100% of that $40, and 10% of the people that click are going to buy that product, right? So that means my starting bid is going to be $4. That's what I expect to bid, because I'm willing to spend 100% of the retail price to sell the product. My conversion rate is 10%, which means every 10 people that click, they're going to buy one $40 product. So I'm willing to bid $4 because it'll take 10 clicks at that $4 click price in order for me to sell a $40 item. Does that make sense? So if my target ACoS was 50%, I was willing to spend 50% of the product price in order to sell that product. Then my product price is $40, my conversion rate is 10%, my starting bid is $2 because it's 0.5 times 40 times 0.1. Again, if it's 25%, my target ACoS, I'm going to do the same thing. Multiply it by my product price times my conversion rate. So 0.25 times 40 times 0.1 equals $1. So unlike Amazon's suggested bid, this starting bid formula allows you to set a bid that will give you sales at about what you expect to spend for those sales. Then the homework comes in adjusting that bid. And that's actually where most of the bidding action happens. The starting bid doesn't matter as much as people really think, because one of two things is going to happen. Either you're going to not make sales, which means that your bid is just too low, or you're going to be making sales like crazy and spending all your daily budget way too early, which means your bid is likely too high. Or you can just up the daily budget if you're happy with that target ACoS and spend more at that bid. Now, when you scroll down in the setup, you're going to get to this section called campaign bidding strategy. Now, this is the section that allows you to tell Amazon what type of strategy to employ when using your bid. There are 3 different options. There's dynamic bids up and down, dynamic bids down only, and fixed bids. So what does each of these mean? Dynamic bids up and down means whatever bid you set, Amazon can up it by 100%, meaning it can double it, or it can decrease it significantly as well. Dynamic bids down only means Amazon can only decrease your bid. They can't up your bid. And then fixed bid means Amazon will always use the same bid, the exact bid that you set, no matter what. So one thing to take into consideration here is that bid does not equal cost per click. Even if I bid $4, that doesn't mean that if I use fixed bids, all my cost per clicks are going to be $4. The bidding is just what gets you into the placement. So all that means is if I'm bidding $4 and everyone else is bidding $6, Amazon's not going to show me for that keyword because my bid is just too low. Whereas if I bid $4 and put dynamic up and down, Amazon would adjust it up so that I would still get placements because I gave them flexibility to it. But if I use fixed bids and I bid $4 and everyone else is bidding $1, Amazon's not going to make me pay $4 for every single click. But I am going to win that placement a lot, and I'll pay more than what everyone else is paying, but not by much. It just means that I won the bid. So it's different than cost per click. So when do you use each of these strategies? Dynamic bids down only is kind of your safe bet. You can pretty much use that in any case scenario. That's the most common bidding strategy used. It's safe. It allows you to leanly target your keywords and your product placement ads without any risk of overpaying. Dynamic bids up and down is really when you can't get impressions and you want to give Amazon more flexibility. This is usually in the beginning when you have a new target that you know is important, but you just don't know what to bid yet, and you just want to let Amazon find that bid. Usually when you use this strategy, you're going to shift back over to down only once you find a bid that's working well. And fixed bids is one that you'll use when you're being very aggressive. So if you're doing a ranking campaign for a highly competitive keyword, for example, that's when you would use fixed bids because you just want to make sure that you're always in there. Amazon is always putting your bid exactly as you set it, and you likely set it pretty high to make sure that you dominate that space. So once you set that starting bid and your campaigns are actually running, you're going to then adjust the bid over time based on the data that comes back from that campaign in one of these 4 main scenarios. Keywords with low ACoS, keywords with high ACoS, keywords with no impressions, and keywords that are racking up clicks but have no sales at all. So what do you do in each of these scenarios? Well, keywords with a high ACoS, what you're going to do is simply lower the bid. Now, you don't want to decrease the bid too much. So here's an example in front of me right now. This ACoS is 220%, meaning I'm spending over double of the product price just to sell each unit. This is just enough clicks for that to be enough data. So I'm likely going to decrease the bid on this term. Now, first of all, there is a human component in here because you want to look at the term and see, is that actually relevant to my product? If it's unrelevant to my product, then you may want to negate it. If it's somewhat relevant to the product, you're going to decrease the bid. If it's very relevant to the product, then it should be converting. It shouldn't have a high ACoS, so there's something else wrong in either the thumbnail or the listing. So first of all, try to determine what the reason is. Then likely you're going to have to decrease the bid, especially if the ACoS is this high. You're going to want to decrease it, but don't decrease it by too much. In general, Amazon doesn't like really large swings. So decrease it by 20 to 30% each time and just do these optimizations regularly. If you're doing optimizations like this twice a week on your campaign, that's a nice healthy clip. Next, keywords with low ACoS. So if you have keywords that are below your target ACoS, see like this one, which is 17% ACoS. If my target ACoS is 30% and I'm still profitable then I'm definitely going to want to increase the bid on this because it's performing much better than my other keywords, so I know it's hyper relevant. So you're likely going to increase the bid or increase the budget or both for this target and for the campaign that this target is included in. Okay, next we have an extreme scenario, keywords with a lot of clicks but no sales whatsoever. So in general, the rule is wait a little longer than you think. Typically, sellers try to negate terms like this way too early. So if, for instance, my conversion rate is 10%, you'd expect that I'd get a sale every 10 clicks if this term was really converting. But that actually only gives you a 65% probability that you're making the right choice, which is not nearly high enough. So really, in this example, if your product is converting at 10%, you don't want to wait until 30 or 40 clicks to really know that this is a term that you could permanently negate. Because the thing is, once you negate a term, it never has a shot again. It's completely negated for that campaign. Whereas if you just decrease the bid instead, then at least you have the chance that, oh, maybe you didn't have enough data before and it actually is working. So your decreased bid allows you to get sales at a lower A cost, which then allows you to ramp the bid back up. And that happens all the time. So make sure if you're deciding to negate a keyword that it is for sure not relevant, a bad keyword for you, and you let enough clicks come in without sales before you made that decision. And finally, keywords with low impressions. So here you don't even have the data. You don't have enough clicks or sales because you're not even getting impressions on the ad. So this can be for a number of reasons, but a lot of times it could be just because your bid wasn't high enough, or it could be that you're in a competitive category where your ads are just too new or your product is just too new, because Amazon takes into account a lot of different data when it determines when and where to place your ad. So if you're not getting impressions or you have really low impressions, it could just be that Amazon has just decided that your ad is not relevant enough yet. There are some times where you could up the bid as much as you want and Amazon just won't show you. But the first thing to try is upping the bid. Another thing you can try is taking the search term out of a campaign with multiple search terms in it and putting it in its own campaign. Because a lot of times Amazon is automatically determining, when you have a lot of keywords in one ad group, which keywords to send all the traffic to. And the ones that get all the traffic tend to cannibalize the ones that wouldn't get much traffic, even if they would convert well at a low A cost. So take those terms, take them out, put them in their own campaign, and then you can adjust the bid and bid modifiers to make sure that you have full control over that term and see if it gets impressions then. Now, there is another way to affect bids without changing the bid directly when you're optimizing campaigns, and that is placement. So you can see on the left-hand side, after I click my campaign, I can see a tab called placements. I'm going to click that tab, and here's where I'll have the ability to change my bid modifiers. So what this is telling Amazon is I'm allowing them to change my bid, up my bid by a certain percentage based on where Amazon is showing my ad. And there's three main places Amazon shows ads: top of search on search page, rest of search, and product pages. Top of search is right at the top as soon as somebody searches a term, usually before they even scroll. That gets the highest click-through rate by far, and it gets a high conversion rate, but it's also the most expensive. Rest of search is everywhere else in search. So when you scroll down, you see it in the middle of search results. You see it when you click onto page 2. There are tons and tons of ads that show rest of search. Those tend to get a lower click-through rate, but they also sometimes can be cheaper clicks. And then there's product pages, which is you showing your ad on somebody else's listing. Now these, again, they tend to be cheaper clicks, but they don't get as high a click-through rate or as high a conversion rate typically, because by this time the shopper is actually browsing. But what you want to do is basically open up this placements tab for each of your campaigns and then go over and see what your ACoS is. And you can up your bid modifier for the placements that are working best. Or if this is a campaign that you're really trying to rank aggressively for, you can just up your top of search bid modifier, because it'll allow you to get higher click-through rates, which will drive your ranking for that keyword much faster and much stronger. So that's it. Now you know what to bid when you're setting up your Amazon PPC campaigns. If you want to see a full campaign setup walkthrough, check out this video where I walk through step-by-step how to set up Amazon PPC campaigns from beginning to end, including every single field that Amazon asks you to input along the way. We touched on campaign optimizations when we talked about bidding, but I'm going to do a future video where we walk through everything about campaign optimizations, no matter what your goal for the campaign is. So stay tuned for that. I'll see you guys next time.